You're watching HelloNation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HelloNation podcast, your voices of good news. I'm your host, Prescott Rossi. We have Tim Eppner over there running the board, and today, do we have a special treat for you? Locally recognized, nationally recognized real estate experts here for our Hello Real Estate series, our official HelloNation ambassadors, Corey Bishop and Peter West from Bishop West Real Estate. Fellas, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah, good to see you, Prescott.
As always, buddy. Now, being the voice
Wait, not good to see me?
I'm sorry. We won't leave you out as well.
Sorry, Tim.
I know I had to close the door in my booth. Come on, guys.
Now, but being the voices of good news, we like to start by asking all of our guests to share their own. So, Corey, Peter, tell us a little about yourselves and some good news you've recently experienced.
You know, I'm going on right now 42 years of being full-time in the real estate business, and I've just loved every bit of it. And now my career has taken me to, as I work with Corey and running our companies, I get to go out on the road and teach and speak at conferences. And we've recently given 2 endowments to 2 colleges that have real estate programs. And I think that was really kind of a cool thing. And I've been able to go present. And it's a whole different story when you're presenting to college kids that actually got up in the morning. Can you imagine that, to come hear you? And that's been a lot. That's been a lot of fun, and that's been really a blessing. Something good news, that there's a lot of good news that's happening. I've spent the past few weeks working in our Northeast operations, working hand in hand with Corey. You know, after almost 30 years, it's kind of fun to get back in the office together while doing things instead of being out. And I think everything is good, man, right now. So I got no complaints. So that's my good news.
Love it. Love it. And you, sir?
Yeah, me. I mean, I think as Peter was saying, this year's 31 years I've been in the real estate industry. I really enjoy what I do on a daily basis. I do have a couple of adult children at this point in time in life. So as I'm getting older, life is changing. This year's, 28 years we've been doing this, 25-year anniversary for our company this year. So it's really good stuff. It's great to be on this path, to be doing what we're doing, constantly learning as this industry evolves and changes.
There's changes in the real estate industry.
Really? I mean, heck, I even went, this is ironic, is that I even went and got a new designation last week, or a certification, I should say, last week. And ironically, Peter came back to town and taught that class. So, it's funny how some of this stuff comes full circle from where we started out 28 years ago. But, I think on a really good thing is that I'm so excited about my children at this point in time. One who's off in the real world with a full-time, job in the radiology world, and then a son who's in a very good business school, second year, and things are just going really good with that. So, that's kind of my good news.
I love it.
Does that make you feel old?
Well, I am old, so not as old as you,
I guess,
but I am
old. I mean, my
Fellas.
Well, you know what makes me laugh the hardest of that? I also was not the best student, and I've been asked multiple times to go back and speak about what I do. Peter, you made me laugh at that one.
Well, it's funny you say that, Tim, because, I would tell anybody that I'm a high school graduate. I didn't go to college. I went to the school of hard knocks in the world of real estate, and I think that, I have such a higher level knowledge in real estate. I mean, it's amazing where I was and where I am. And as a matter of fact, I spoke last week at a retirement home community, and
that he was touring for, he and his wife.
Yeah, but I spoke for an hour or so, with those, and that's something that I do. Peter is the master at teaching. I do a little part with that.
Oh, I love it, fellas. All right, so I want our audience to know a little bit more about the two of you. So I guess my first question for you both, Peter and Corey, how did you two meet? I mean, you guys have such a great relationship. The back and forth is so funny, and the energy is so infectious. How did you guys meet, and has it always been that way?
Well, I'll start out. I'll start out because it really was back in 1998. I was working for another real estate firm, and the broker of that company said, "Hey, there's this really amazing class that's coming to town, and you should really think about taking this." I showed up the first day, and Peter was the instructor of that class. And over a period of time, I would kind of call this class was what I would call kind of like a boot camp for realtors. I got to know Peter, and from there, that kind of transitioned to a bit of a friendship, and then it just kind of elevated from there, where X amount of months later, I went to my broker that I was working with and said, "Hey, I'm out of here, and I'm going to go work with Peter," and it's just kind of blossomed, I guess, considering it's springtime, kind of blossomed from there.
Wow, bring that into a timely fashion.
And 28 years later, I've not looked back, and we just keep on going like we just started yesterday.
I love it. And Peter, your first impressions of Corey when you first met him, do you remember that? And how did that shift into a relationship in the beginning to now a professional one all these years later?
So there's this, younger kid at the time, that was looking to take a class, and part of that training program was mentoring, and part of that was the whole philosophy of that company was we get by giving, and there was a lot of mentorship in that program. And ironically, Corey and I grew up in the same neighborhood, and so there was almost that instant, this was the kid from the neighborhood, and this turned out to be the little brother I never had. It was very obvious the first week we kind of clicked, and then the next week, second session, he's there like before I am. And so it was like, this can I help you out and set up and everything. And then there was something there which was the start of an amazing relationship. And then from there, friends, and then started working together. It just happened, which is
and
weird.
Still there learning. He said he
Yeah.
learned last week from you.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that, how that curiosity and your energy are they go hand in hand together, and that really comes through. I mean, even just in these few minutes, you can see that. Tell me about the real estate industry itself, and even before you two met. I mean, what is it about this industry that drew you in the first place? What keeps you so motivated and so energized all these years later?
Well, it's just, what keeps you in the business is, again, it goes, there's something new about it every day. And there's that old adage that, if you're doing something you love, you're not really working. And I feel this way. When you're working in a family business, I mean, that's what it's all fun, but we're very serious about what we do. And constantly learning is really something that's out there. And then community driven, and being a leader in this business with, supporting and being in leadership roles in the local board of realtors, the state association of realtors, and nationally. And so there's so much to it that it's not the same old, but it becomes a passion.
Awesome. So you mentioned earlier about your leadership and the different panels and boards that you're a part of. That lends itself to expertise. I don't think you'd be in those leadership positions if others, even in the business, didn't see you guys as role models, as experts, as leaders. What is that title, being an expert? What does that mean to you, and what responsibilities come along with a title like that?
I think leadership and being an expert in the industry, it's not an ego thing. It really comes down to is that the information that you learn, that you're passing along to a different generation of people, the formulas, the solutions. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. It's about sharing, right? It's about building relationships with people that are in the business, and trying to elevate other people by using and doing what you've learned through the years. When you take yourself out of the picture and you think about other people, your colleagues, your agents, your clients, and you think, how can I elevate people around me using what I've learned? That's what leadership is really all about. And Peter would probably say the same thing, that it's really about other people and not about me.
Yeah, and I agree with everything he said, but I would add that it creates a community. Some people call it a culture within your organization. There's community with the peers that Corey mentioned, because don't forget, real estate's a really weird business.
Weird business.
Where we cooperate and break bread and do all kinds of things with our competition. And when I'm teaching orientation to new agents, the ability to be able to make an impression on people's lives, or people absolutely need a good place to live. And that's the basis of it. Because I always say that if you're going to the mall because you need to buy a suit or a dress, and Macy's doesn't have what you're looking for, does the clerk take you to Dillard's or Lord and Taylor and help you find it? No. But in real estate, we do. So we have competition, but we cooperate and we work with them. The minute we start looking at like competition, that's where it becomes problematic. And if we look at them as peers, and the real way to do that and gain respect in the industry is through leadership. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I love that being a part of something bigger than yourself. I would imagine in the real estate community, that opens up doors and opportunities. You see things because you're so immersed in the community. Maybe you know where something might be lacking that could use philanthropic efforts. Is that true? I mean, how is being in real estate, maybe directing where you point your philanthropic efforts?
I think one of the stories, and Peter always tells this story well, was when we went out to do a broker price opinion on a property, and we showed up at the house. It was probably not
wasn't in the nicest
neighborhood. It wasn't in the nicest neighborhood. And we got into this home and we realized that there were a couple of children that were living with their grandmother, and it probably wasn't what we would have considered the best living situation at best. And it was getting close to Christmas. And we looked around, Peter and I, and we said, they don't have a Christmas tree here.
This house was skeleton bones. There was not an ounce of a decoration. It could have been, the middle of June.
We eventually had some follow-up calls with some folks. We were actually concerned about the children and the situation. And we found out through talking to people in the community that these children were in a really good place with their grandmother in a very caring situation. It may not have looked best living conditions and whatnot, but they were in a loving, caring home.
Which was an eye-opener in itself.
Which was an eye-opener. So, we went ahead, Peter and I, and did what we do best. And we went out and we bought the family a Christmas tree. We bought Christmas gifts for the children. And that's where, these stories come back, these situations come back to where what is really driving us. It's stuff like that we've seen through the years that we know. And hence why our involvement with Toys for Tots and the teen giving tree that we do every year. These types of things, those are the drivers. That's where it came from.
It's interesting because that story happened a lot of years ago.
But
it's moving every time you think about the situation. It gives me goosebumps when I hear Corey tell it, and I know it's the same the other way, because in that little regard was an impact that has been the basis for what we've done.
And anybody could have walked away from that situation being like, it's just another, family. They don't have any, but what led us there in the first place, right? How did we get there? There was a reason why Peter and Corey showed up at that house that day, and what transpired. There's a reason behind it.
That's awesome. I love that.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that, Corey.
Wow. We are big on Toys for Tots here at HelloNation CGI. Like huge on it.
Well, you know what? Maybe
Maybe just to tackle a little challenge.
maybe you guys need to get tied into the challenge, because our challenge is.
Wait, do you go out on the radio and challenge that way, or wait? How's
We
your?
do a live
It's huge.
competition.
Okay, how much do you guys raise?
So last year, between toys and cash donation, last year about $95,000.
All right.
Oh,
4,000.
4,300 in toys.
4,300 toys and about $7,000.
and it goes all to your
The
community,
local
right?
Toys for Tots.
All to the
yeah.
it does.
I think it's so important. I love Toys for Tots. I love it.
It's amazing, and I think, Tim, what's happened is that folks like yourself, in our marketplace, our local community, folks like yourselves have seen what we're doing on a higher level, and now we have folks like you. There's so many people that come in with individual stories of their why, and they're now bringing the toys to us as seeing as a big picture thing. So it has grown and evolved. And mind you, we collect all those toys and that money in 2 hours.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
How?
Yeah.
2 hours.
2 hours.
Yep.
2 hours.
So
We're about 2.5 weeks. We're pretty proud of ourselves. I think.
Yeah, all of it. And I think there's another thing that we didn't know, but there's another connection between us and HelloNation and CGI.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's a brilliant tie, and I think we could play off on that.
Now, fellas, to steer it back a little bit more toward the business side of real estate, we talked earlier about, what makes this job so fulfilling, but getting someone in a dream home, getting someone in their first home, what is it about those aspects of the business that you find really rewarding, that have kept you in it for all these years?
It's even goes beyond getting somebody there, into home ownership, because that's amazing. But it's another thing that's really cool that I'm doing right now is I'm working with some clients that are starting up their first legitimate, they've been kind of running their business out of their house. And I'm working with them to get their business into a space, negotiating build out and lease and all the things that they don't understand. And taking them, I see these folks, the joy that they have right now with being able to build their business and be entrepreneurs and be able to guide them from start to finish through that. That was a whole different take on the real estate industry, because we always talk about home ownership and what does it bring, for first-time home buyers and this, but to take somebody whose dream of building a business, especially being an entrepreneur like Peter and I are, and to be able to help them mold that and have them lean on the experience that we have of what we've done through the years and our knowledge and whatnot. But it was just a really different take on the real estate side of things.
It's still the same thing, though.
It's still the same thing.
What I would say is it's the American dream.
Yeah.
Whether
Perfect.
it's and that's part of the American dream, is being able to go out and be an entrepreneur and do something that you wanted, or take a hobby and turn it into a business. I love selling those fancy houses on the beach. That's great. It's fun. But you know what is really fun? Whether it be the single parent that has done everything they can, and we know it's
Scraped every penny,
raise a kid to be able to create a home for them. Whether it's a person with a disability that'll never own a home but gets their own apartment, or a place like that, and to be able to create housing for a veteran that put their life on their line for our freedom, and to be able to create a nice place for them that works.
It's really easy to figure out how much a house is worth, what's wrong with the house. That's easy. But really what it comes down to are the people that you deal with on a daily basis. And I would probably say that same thing goes for you and the business that you do, that you're in the digital media world, but your business revolves around people, right?
I think 90% of business revolves around people, and if a business doesn't accept it or doesn't get it, they got to readjust, because the world is in a people business.
Absolutely, Tim. And I think that once people realize that, it takes a while to say, "Oh, I'm in the real estate business." No, I'm in the people business. Really, I just sell houses, to those people. I think with everything and what we do in life and in business it's just that mindset, right? You got to have that good mindset of who you are, what you do, in a good set of ethical standards.
And that's the perfect lead into my next question. I'm sure you've experienced that people have misconceptions about real estate or realtors. How do you shift that mindset to take it from maybe antagonistic or a little suspicious and turn it into something positive?
I think it comes down to professionalism and understanding yourself as a real estate professional, that you are a professional. You have to understand, as we just said, people, but to be able to play on that is to, number one, act like a professional, think like a professional, and constantly educate yourself. The difference between now and when I started is the consumer has all sorts of information at their fingertips, where before the internet, you didn't necessarily have it. Perhaps you went to the library and borrowed a book and read up on it. But the reality was you were dealing with a professional. People have a doctor. People have an accountant. People have a lawyer. People should have a professional realtor.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, never thought of it like that. There you go, taking a misconception and spinning it into something else. So you two have been together for 30 years. What's the secret sauce to maintaining this relationship? And obviously, you tease each other, but you get along incredibly well. You're involved in the community. What's the secret?
It's a family aspect. We can be sitting in our conference room,
Arguing.
I was looking for a politer way to bickering.
Going at each other.
If it's close to dinner time, all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're at my house for dinner, the whole family, or I'm at their house. I think commitment early on, that we're going to do this and not try it.
Well, I like the word commitment too, because those of most people that know me or don't know me know that I've been, this year is 34 years that I've been with the same woman. Married, ironically, 28 years, the same amount of time that Peter and I have been in business together. And, my world and my life, with my family life is about commitment. We know nothing in life is perfect, right? Whether it's, your relationship with your wife or significant other or whatever, it all takes a lot of work. Some days it's up high, some days it's down low. And, I've just made that commitment in my world to where, I've done the same thing with Peter with business and said, I understand nothing is perfect. Tomorrow's a new day, but I'm committed to what I said I was going to do. And I just work it out and keep going.
Yeah, and it definitely sounds like the respect between the two of you is definitely there too. Even with the jokes and the the little comments, like there's an underlying respect that is so clear, and I think that I would imagine has gone a long way for you two as well.
They give more life statements than just a business statement.
Yeah, I would agree. And and it's tough when you have to work with your father every day, in this industry, right? And and it's just granted. Well, going back, we did grow up in the same neighborhood, but didn't know each other because Peter's just a little bit older than I am. It's always great to joke, but we always say last week Peter and I ran a commercial real estate event for a very large regional group up here in the Northeast, and the two of us, they bring the two of us in to moderate and run this commercial investment meeting.
But they like the entertainment.
But they love the entertainment. That's the thing. Yeah, it's a package deal, and we come in. We know how to do business. We know how to have fun.
Yeah, that package deal is hard to beat. Now, if we could limit yourself to just one piece, what is the best advice that you would give to buyers and sellers?
Hire a professional realtor that knows what they're doing.
Not only hire the professional person that knows what they're doing, but listen and try to understand, right, what we're saying. I think that in any sales business, people think, and in real estate, right, people think that we make all this money and we're there because of a fee that we're going to make off of the sale. That's just part of it, right? I tell clients that I leave my wallet at home and I go out and I do business the way business should be done. And
that goes when you're going to lunch with him too. Do you have your wallet with you?
Be careful if we go out to lunch.
It was the damnedest thing. Who knew?
But so what would you say is the number one advice you would give?
The number one advice that I would say for folks is really to work on building the relationship and trust with your professional. And do your homework, right? As a consumer, whether you're a buyer or seller, what type of certifications do they have? What kind of designations do they have? What do those designations mean? How does that help you, the consumer, with trying to obtain your goals? Right? Be selfish. Interview some people.
You shouldn't just go on Facebook and one of your friends that got in real estate had a license for a week. You wouldn't recommend using them because you're friends?
Maybe not. Maybe not. What are their qualifications? What are their designations? If you're a senior and you're looking to move on and do different things in life, does somebody you're working with have what we would call the SRES?
I do.
You do have that designation. Yes, the senior real estate specialist, right? Who doesn't want to work with somebody that specializes in working with seniors?
Teaching it when you're a senior. And the joke, I live in a 55 plus community in Florida, and it's like, I'm not supposed to be here. Oh, wait a minute. Part of it is that this, mentally where you're at, where you think you are and where you really are. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is just.
I always ask for the senior discount when I'm with him. Can we get him a senior discount or something? Come on now, please.
Now, I know we teased about, the senioritis, but also, such a great part of your story is when you guys first met. You guys mentioned the curiosity you had, in those early days. What would be your advice to, if you could talk to young Corey and young Peter, what would be the messages you would have for the next one that's coming, in the next generation?
I think for me, it's finding somebody that has a passion for real estate that is going to guide you in the right direction. And that's what I loved when I met with Peter. It's really finding a broker or a mentor in the business that's going to guide you down the right road. It's very hard nowadays. We joke, the old line back in the day was, here's your desk, here's your phone, now you're on your own. And that's kind of what it still is sometimes. In some states, it's very easy to get a real estate license. And that's where I got lucky. And that's where my respect comes for Peter was how he guided me and showed me the way of what to do. Doing it on your own out there isn't all that easy.
And I think education, like Corey said, you get that real estate license and it doesn't really teach you anything about real estate or what you need to know.
We say you're a walking what?
You're a walking liability, really, because now you got a professional license, but you don't have any experience. I've been going to National Association of Realtor conventions for over 40 years. And go to the convention. You're going to learn stuff. You're going to network. You're going to meet people. You're going to go to
you're going to even meet HelloNation at the trade show.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Isn't that funny? Great tie-in right there, right?
I love it. Yeah. Hard to miss the giant screaming eagle.
Yeah.
I
thought the conference was fun. I liked it. We were both there.
Yeah. But the conference is fun. And I think just a real quick point, Prescott, is that, especially if you're younger getting into the business nowadays, you have to understand that those relationships with people are paramount. We can't, I'm happy sitting behind the screen today, having these conversations with you, but when you're new in the business and all you've done was been on Zoom for school and behind the screen, you got to get out from behind the screen.
We're in a generation that, that COVID period where school was on a screen. So getting some of the real younger ones to actually have that human connection is a little bit different. But, education, finding a mentor, finding the broker that's willing to put the time and effort into making your career grow is really where it's at.
More life advice than just real estate. I've said it before. I think that just being face to face with somebody, I would have said common sense, but My goodness, do these kids like to be behind a screen? Not that we're seeing you out of behind the screen, but
Right.
Fellas, so this has been awesome so far. Now that we've gotten to know a little bit about your experience and your expertise, let's put that expertise to the test with a little real trivia. I'll ask you a series of trivia questions based around real estate, and the first one to answer correctly will get a point. Expert with the most points in the end is the big winner. What do you get? Respect. More respect from us.
And bragging rights.
And bragging rights. Alrighty, so our first question for real trivia. What is the difference between a buyer's agent and a listing agent?
Oh, good question. Difference between a buyer's agent and a listing is a buyer's agent, in true fashion, represents the interest of the buyer. The listing agent represents the true interest of the seller. And there's a thing in most states that have a confidentiality and a fiduciary duty. So you shouldn't be talking to that nice man or lady that's the listing agent when you have a buyer's agent.
Peter, the wily veteran, gets the first point here in real trivia. Yeah. Oh, we've got the soundboard and everything. Unbelievable! I forgot we had that. Scared the hell out of me.
it makes me laugh.
Okay, on to real trivia question number 2. What does escrow mean in a real estate transaction?
That's where you put. You're not going to win, so stop.
I hate to say it, Corey's hand was up quicker. I hate to say it.
Escrow is when you take the deposit that is being held and you put it into a deposit that's being held for a purchase and sale agreement, and that money is being held in a special account that is usually an interest-bearing account that is held until the closing and the funds are dispersed.
Peter, do you want to steal?
Yeah, I want to steal. It's held in a separate fiduciary account. Many of them do not have interest.
If there was a panel of judges, I guess we would turn to the experts.
They would agree. I mix that up with a security deposit from a rental, a security deposit, which has to gain interest.
So a Family Feud steal from Peter. So he's now has a 2-0 lead. So on to real trivia question number 3. What is the difference between pre-qualified and pre-approved?
Oh, that's easy. Pre-qualified is just where you've gone over with a loan officer or realtor or your numbers. I mean, so that's what your income is. Those are what your expenses are. Pre-approved is where a lender has actually run a form of a credit report, gone over that, and issued a letter saying that based on the information provided, subject to verification, we will issue you a mortgage or a loan.
Corey, you're falling behind here, buddy.
He's right. Listen, if we were talking about music and cars right now, I'd be 3 for 3 right now. But Peter is
on fire.
You call it on fire, I call it know-it-all.
Okay. Question the 4th. What is equity and how can homeowners build it?
Equity is the what I'm going to call perceived value based on the mortgage of your home and the value or the market value of your home is equity. And you can obtain that equity by A, selling your home, or B,
I like that.
Or sales is good.
Yeah.
Sales is good. Or B, refinancing your home or taking a home equity line of credit.
Peter, any want to steal that? No,
No,
Corey nailed it. Well done, Corey. You are on the board. As we move to the 5th question now. How do interest rates impact buying power? Oh, Corey, well done.
Typically when the buyer is qualifying for a loan, the higher the interest rate, the more that eats into their buying power.
Peter, thoughts?
Well, we could go to the contrary, because if the interest rate is lower, they participate in, say, a lender-funded or a seller-funded buy-down. That increases their buying power.
That's too deep. Simple answer. Simple answer.
All righty. Well, we're on to the last question. This one for all the marbles. Who's better looking?
Oh, that's easy.
It's
It's him.
Oh, wow. Okay. That didn't go the way I thought it would. Very interesting. All righty.
What can I say?
Now, come on now, Peter. You're no slouch. So, you know.
At least I don't need AI to enhance and take out the wrinkles and give me more hair. So
No, AI just gave you a smaller head. That was all.
So we've tallied up the scores. The winner, drum roll, Tim. Do we have a drum roll on that thing? Oh, we do have a drum roll. All right. Peter, congratulations.
Congratulations, Peter. Congratulations.
And you two Corey, you don't get to go home empty-handed because you get another 30 years with Peter.
Oh, man. It's killing me already just thinking about it.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Corey, Peter, Bishop West, thank you guys so much for joining. This was an absolute delight. Tim running the board, doing a great job. Thank you to the listeners for tuning in. I'm Prescott Rossi, signing off with our Real Estate HelloNation ambassadors, Peter and Corey from Bishop West Real Estate. This has been the HelloNation podcast, where good news travels faster. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching HelloNation.